thoughts and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. The Broadway show Cabaret, one of the most fascinating stage musicals of the 1960s, remains a powerful performance piece. It speaks to our times in this 21st century, perhaps truly more now than when it first opened in 1966. Cabaret, as a cautionary morality play, has tremendous resonance for the world in which we are living right now. Cabaret was based on several chapters from Christopher Isherwood's somewhat autobiographical novel, Goodbye to Berlin. And since its opening, people have described the show in, I think, much the same way. It portrays how it was that the Nazis used decadence and moral decline of the 1930s Berlin to come to power. Their plan was to scare ordinary Germans with descriptions of rampant immorality and decadence so that people would then vote for them in the hope that they would return Germany to the good old days. Perhaps political propaganda never really changes, does it? It always demonizes the minority, paints a picture of imminent destruction, and then promises a return to the normalcy of a time that never really existed, when things were simpler and so much less scary. As we take a look back now at Germany and the situation of Germany's Jewish community before 1938, everything looked so favorable for a while in the post-World War I period. That peace being celebrated currently in Paris, that 100-year-old peace. But why? Why did it look so good? Well, Germany now had their new Weimar Constitution, which was a model democracy featuring the separation of church and state. German Jews of the 1920s were accepted. They were accepted socially. It was always their dream, from Moses Mendelssohn, who said that he wanted to be a Jew in his home and a German on the street. And finally, the Jews of Germany were socially accepted. They could attend universities. They were professionals. They were in academia. They taught in law schools. They were great lawyers, physicians, writers, artists, composers, filmmakers. Much of the backbone of Weimar creativity and culture was Jewish-based and Jewish-driven. But we have to look a little closer. And when we look a little closer at Weimar, we see some lethal cracks in the foundation. This democracy was imposed upon the Germans with the Treaty of Versailles, but it was monarchy that was natural to the Germans, and democracy really ran counter to the powerful institutions of Germany, that being the church, the industrial complex, and the military. Moreover, there were those enormous reparations that had to be paid as a result of that Treaty of Versailles, and those reparations led to rampant inflation. And then, of course, the German ego. Oh, yeah, the German ego. It was terribly bruised by the defeat of World War I. Add to that the paranoia and the hysterical fear of communism. But we mustn't forget this lethal ingredient as well: anti-Judaism, Christianity's true original sin. Anti-Judaism. There had also been almost 1.5, almost 2 centuries of German anti-Semitism. The distinction being that as opposed to just anti-Judaism, anti-Jewish faith, anti-Semitism was the pseudo-scientific ideas of the inferiority of Jewish blood, Jewish ancestry, as it infected pure Aryan German blood. And the idea that because of that, the Jews had stabbed the people of the fatherland in the back and really created and sabotaged the war effort creating the defeat. So the idea that the Jews messed up the German army, stabbing the real generals in the back. Jews were responsible for the economic and social problems. Just read the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Let's give you a copy of it. Worldwide Jewish conspiracy. Still read, incidentally, throughout the world. Nevertheless, by the mid-1920s to 1925 to 1930, we had a golden age of German Jewry. It was a true golden age of the German people. Democracy and great freedom. And yet Eastern European Jews, they came from Poland and they came from Russia because good times were to be had in Germany. And post-World War I calls German Jews to blame their Eastern European brothers and sisters for causing labor problems, for bringing social foment, bringing ideas of communist agitation, and they look bad in the eyes of their Christian German fellow citizens now. So by the mid-1930s, there was worldwide depression, and Hitler had risen to power. He had run 3 times, and on the 3rd time, when it was no longer a free election, he won. And that was definitive in so many ways. What goodies did Hitler have to offer to the people of Germany? To the workers, he offered them full employment, better wages. To the middle class folk, he offered them protection of their position by smashing communists in order to save middle class property. To the industrialists, Hitler promised factories that would manufacture armaments. Oh, the contracts for military wear were so important, and that he would crush the labor unions. And to the Roman Catholics, he offered a concordat and a peace agreement with Pope Pius XI. So what can we say of the Jewish situation then? 1933, with the rise of Hitler, Jews were removed from government positions. They could not have a pet. They couldn't have a dog that was registered. There were few seats, fewer and fewer benches in public parks where Jews could sit. There was the boycotting of Jewish goods and merchants. In 1933, 37,000 Jews left Germany. 1934, it seemed like things were getting better. And don't you know it? 10,000 of those 37,000 asked to come back. Fortunately, they were denied. 1935, then, the Nuremberg laws. Jews were now defined in racial terms. If you had 3 Jewish grandparents, even though you were a practicing Christian, even though you were a bishop of the church, you were a Jew. Jewish emancipation and citizenship rights were revoked, and you were now subject to the state, and you were no longer able to intermarry with pure Germans. There had been in the city of Berlin a 41% rate of intermarriage prior to 1933. 1936, things lifted, things got better. It was more pleasant. Why? The Olympics. The eyes of the world were now the newsreels were covering what was going on in Germany. However, anti-Jewish laws, though they were soft-pedaled in 1936, by 1938, Polish Jews living in Germany were now deported. And that brings us to November the 9th, 1938. Kristallnacht, exactly 80 years ago tonight. 2 days before, on November the 7th, 1938, a 17-year-old Jewish teenager by the name of Herschel Greenspan provided the excuse for what was to become the Third Reich's worst pre-war pogrom, the Night of the Broken Glass, Kristallnacht. Greenspan was eking out his existence in Paris, and at this time his family was among the 17,000 Polish Jews, many of them, like the Greenspan family, long-time residents of Germany whom the Nazis had now deported to that Polish territory. They had no money, they were living in misery. The Polish state wouldn't let them in to real Poland, and they had a hellish life in the refugee camps. And Greenspan's sister wrote to her brother and said, "We are in misery, we are starving." And young Herschel went out and he bought a pistol. And he had enough money to buy that gun, and he went to the German embassy in Paris. And he asked to see an official. And a fellow came by who looked like the official, but wasn't. He was just a bureaucrat. And Herschel Greenspan took out his pistol and he shot this fellow, Ernst von Rath, a low-level worker. As von Rath lay dying, Nazi plans then were laid to give free rein to a spontaneous eruption of popular anger that the news of the shooting had supposedly provoked throughout all of Germany. And within 48 hours of von Rath's death, hundreds of our synagogues, tiniest synagogues to the great, magnificent cathedral synagogues throughout Germany, were all set fire, while the fire brigade stood idly by. More than 7,000 Jewish businesses were looted without intervention of the police. Hundreds of Jewish cemeteries were desecrated on that night, and many of them still sit in exactly the situation they were on that night if you go to Germany today. 91 Jews were killed. 30,000 Jewish men were placed under arrest and sent to newly enlarged concentration camps in Dachau, Buchenwald, and Sachsenhausen. Of course, the Jews were blamed for the pogrom, and it was the Jews who paid the damages. A fine of 1 billion Reichsmarks, equal to some 400 million United States dollars in 1938 rates, was imposed upon the Jewish communities of Germany. Kristallnacht showed, dear friends, that life within the Nazi dictatorship, no Jew could ever really expect to live a safe or normal life within that system again. What would you have done if you had been a Jew living in Germany at that time? Would you have left everything you own? Would you have, with the possibility, getting tighter, but still possible to get out, what would you have done? Would you have left it all? Would you have hoped that as in 1936 and 1934, things had gotten better, waited out, it'll pass, they'll come to their senses, the man's a maniac? I wonder if you remember how Cabaret begins. The MC welcomes us, and his welcome is unsettling because we sense that it's too perky. It's too wildly happy. In his song, Welcome, The MC tells us to leave our troubles outside, and he admits that life is disappointing, so forget it, because here, in this cabaret, life is beautiful. And we, the audience, we know all too well what will happen in Germany during those 1930s, culminating for our German Jewish brothers and sisters in Kristallnacht, and then, after that, the inconceivable. But here's the point. Cabaret is about that moment. A time when it wasn't yet too late. When Germany wasn't yet locked into the path that would lead to the murder of 6 million Jews. The people of Germany couldn't see what we see. They didn't know how their choices, how their fears, how their pride, how their apathy would lead to far more horrible results. Some of them were just too busy, having a good time, living the good life. Others were busy just trying to survive. And a huge percentage were greedy and more than happy to personally profit from the systematic stripping of the Jews of every ounce of their material wealth and worth. From their home and business to their apartment, from the dishes to the sheets to the towels to their hairbrushes to their shoes to whatever was owned and could be taken and used. Our people were robbed of everything down to their anguished last breath. The promise of citizenship, of Moses Mendelssohn, a Jew in our home, a German on the street, is broken as the glass piled in heaps from the fires that still burn. 80 years ago. And now what ended in the extermination of 6 million souls began as a smirk on the face of a Christian neighbor. A bench in a public park where Jews couldn't sit. Increasing daily indignities in little, nearly unnoticeable ways and acts of humiliation. But somebody's got to ask it. I guess I'm the one to do it tonight. Could something of this kind happen today, here, to us? 3 years ago, I would have said it would be unthinkable. I'm not as 100% certain of that anymore. There are some who feel empowered to cite pretty much the same things that the Nazis did about us, about gays, about women, about the elite, about liberal culture, about the lying media, about the threat of immigrants, about the unpatriotic and the disloyal. But I still believe that Americans are a good people whose sense of fairness and goodness and justice so far outweigh those of paranoid fears and pathologic hate. Yes, I still believe in America and its goodness. And allow me just in closing to read this wonderful email which was sent to us in Hattiesburg to the B'nai Israel congregation last week following the Pittsburgh tragedy. I really don't understand the craziness that is out there. The horrible attack in Pittsburgh seems almost an incarnation of evil itself. I want my Jewish friends in this congregation and everyone else to know that they are not forgotten and that my prayers are with them and my support in this community. Don't know much what to say, but it is wrong to say nothing. Silence is the ally of fear. I hope you will pass this along to all the members of the synagogue. you think might be glad to receive it. Love and peace. David Walker, a member of the University Baptist Church. I still haven't met David, but his sister and his brother and his pastor were there on Friday night last. With the perspective of 8 decades and the witness of history, isn't it all the clearer? Dear friends, we need each other so much now. We need you students who are here from your religion class. We need you. Now more than ever, when the shadows of lonely fear threaten to eclipse the sunlight of promise, we need to remember that there is goodness in our world. There is great goodness in this country. Now more than ever, let us kindle the flame to penetrate the cold caverns of human hearts, to console, to comfort, to consecrate our world anew. Goodness is power, and good people are never helpless. Let the souls of the dead abide in peace and in blessing.